But I think the problem is our general viewing of ourselves in the world, of this attitude of, if everybody were just like me, it would be okay. Or if everybody were just like my group of people, it would be okay. And we all kind of have that attitude. That's how I feel about people that I want to hang out with, and so on and so forth. It's hard to escape that attitude. But the attitude that I'm thinking we need to adopt is a little more evolutionary, and that is weather the storm until we're smart enough to pull this off.
Sure, and I can get behind that. But here's my thing. It's not like every ideology is equal. Like, there's so many ideologies throughout the history of the world that have gone by the wayside because they totally suck. Let's say half the world suddenly started believing in the divine right of kings again.
The
Like,
divine right of what?
the divine right of kings. Let's say, half the world was suddenly monarchist, which is what people were for most of history.
Yeah, we seem to be getting back to that.
Well,
we're working our way there.
Like, what's the compromise with that? How do you get along with people who like, okay, there should just be a king who's in charge of everything?
Well, I assume that kings were initially invented in history. They started out as despots that ruled for enough generations to the point where they were able to convince people that they were divine. And we're just working on that now.
That's not what the divine right of kings is. The divine right of kings is the historical idea that God had ordained certain people to be kings, and that it was something called the great chain of being. Basically, the idea that there was a divinely ordered hierarchy of people, and that any break in the hierarchy would not only cause chaos, but was against God.
Oh.
And that was what people, essentially in Europe and in many other places, it developed sort of independently a couple times, believed was like that was how people saw the world for thousands of years.
Sounds like an awesome sci-fi.
And essentially no one believes this anymore because that ideology sucked and we got rid of it. So I'm saying some ideologies suck and we need to get rid of them. And that's not insane because we've done that before. And we can all agree now that the divine right of kings was bad. So I'm saying, fascism needs to also go that way. And honestly, so does like proto-fascism, alt-right in that area. That's just as bad. So I think hopefully we will eventually realize that ideology sucks and eventually no one will believe it anymore. And I don't think that's terribly unreasonable.
Yeah, we're just not there yet, though, is what I'm saying.
No, of course we're not.
The being that we are needs to weather the storm until we're capable of doing that.
Yeah, well, so how would you suggest weathering the storm?
By mitigating problems in the ways that help the most amount of people feel the confident, like Childhood's End. Did you ever read Childhood's End?
No.
So spaceships come over, they stop all wars, and within 2 generations, humanity starts to evolve to another level because everything that they were spending, all the brain capacity that they were spending on conflict, they were now able to put towards construction.
Sure.
So, something like that,
But it's not possible to have construction without having a conflict with the people who disagree on how it should happen.
Yes, but I mean, we're getting pretty broad with the definition of conflict. I mean, of course,
I'm not saying, I'm not talking about civil war.
I mean, you're not going to punch him in the face and be all, it needs to be a trapezoid. It's like.
No, I know, but you see what I'm like, if it was just as easy as everyone needs to sit down and solve the problems, well, sure, but like they're not going to do that because they don't agree. And not only do they not agree, it's not like one side saying it would be nice if this was 10% different and the other side is saying no. One side is saying we should go left and the other side is saying we should go right.
Right.
And you can't split your body in half.
You're physically incapable of agreeing.
Yeah, I agree.
So we need to drop the attitude that everybody needs to be one way, and we need to start the attitude of we need to mitigate the storm until we're capable of pulling that off.
I just don't see how you mitigate. I don't see how you mitigate anything when it's impossible to agree on any topics.
Well, I mean, I was talking to my daughter about this, so you got the you got democracy, and everybody's
Sure.
just, oh, we're a democracy, dang it. but we're not a democracy. We're a democratic republic. But wait, we're not a democratic republic. We're a constitutional democratic republic. And a lot of people go, oh, yeah, I forgot we have these things. But those things mean something. So we're a republic. We're broken into sections. Each of those sections is a democracy. I'm not telling you this. I'm explaining to the audience. Each of those sections is a democracy with the line drawn in the sand that is
well, each of those sections is a republic. It's not like there's a legislature for each state, which makes the rules. So it's still representative, which makes it republic.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you drill that down, but it when right. And then the Constitution is the line. Basically,
Right.
In a true democracy, 51% of us could sit around and vote. Every Black person needs to get out of the country.
Right. And the Constitution is there to say, we
the next day we would start doing that. But obviously, we have a Constitution that draws the line that says, no, you can only be this much of an asshole.
Right.
And I don't know. We're babies. We're babies in the grand scheme of things. I think we just need to change our attitude of how are we going to survive until we're less stupid.